Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Gonna go over the week in crypto review. I have not put out another video this week, not since my news video last week, so sorry about that. I do appreciate everybody watching, appreciate the likes. If you could smash that like button. If it's your first time here, please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Channel's doing pretty good, getting closer to 6,000, hoping to hit 6,000 this month. Um, Getting into the news. Granted, I will admit that I'm kind of a conspiracy guy. I do look for it. Um, but there is a lot of things that are just off for me about the whole situation and the whole situation of the crypto market and the direction that's been going in for months. Um, when I first got into it, back in mid 2017, it was really kind of us against them. And us as a community, we brought Bitcoin, we brought ICOs, we brought the crypto space to these massive high levels where we brought this new asset class to something to be envious of these institutions. Um, and it's kind of like the old saying, if the if the regular investor misses the train, he misses the train. If the institutional investor misses the train, they bring the train back, which is really what I think is happening. I think the whole market's being reset back because they missed out. They missed out on going from a few $100 Bitcoin to 20,000, or $1,000 Bitcoin to 20,000. They missed out on these massive, massive gains. They missed out on the whole ICO industry and way to raise capital. I think they dismissed Bitcoin, they dismissed blockchain, dismissed cryptocurrency, and then they saw the error of their ways. So now they're resetting everything. And there's a lot of byproducts of that. One of the things, first we'll head over to Coin Paprika. Um, I've been using Coin Paprika a lot more. It's just it's cleaner, it's easier, a little bit more user friendly than CoinMarketCap, or definitely than WorldCoin Index, which I used before. But Bitcoin's down like 12 to 15% this week. It's been just up and down. Showing 12.25 down now. Everything's down. Tethers. Tethers actually moved into the top 5 of the of the on the market cap. That's just ridiculous. Litecoin is down to $25. Ethereum is under $100, which I'll go into that a little bit later on. There's another story. Bitcoin Cash. There's a little weird thing going on here. They seem to usually they go bounce back and forth. Like Bitcoin SV was above Bitcoin Cash, but usually they almost trade interest rates. This will go down 10%, but this will go up 10%. This will go down 13. This will go up 13, so on and so forth. They just go back and forth. A little odd. But getting into the stories, as a result of the market, I went over last week how Steemit had to fire I think it was over 70% or over 78% of their employees. Same thing's going on now with Consensus. They're letting go 13%. Not quite as bad, but it's just just a byproduct of how rough the whole industry is. Also, the Ethereum Classic development team shut down. I don't know if you all heard about this this week. It doesn't mean that Ethereum Classic ETC is done and it's going to go down to zero, but it does mean that it's hurt. The Ethereum Classic development team was not the only team working on Ethereum Classic. There's like 2 or 3 teams, so it is like a third of the team going away, but it's still there. It's still kicking. But the main reason that they had to shut down is because they haven't had the money. And it's publicly known we've been struggling with funding our operation the last few weeks. This is partially due to the market crash combined with a crash crunch in the company. We appealed to investors in the ecosystem as well as external. We did do the community fund, but none of these cases were successful in securing short-term financing, so they shut it down. But like I said, it's still there. There's still at least two teams that are still working on it. Now, to get into some of this odd news. First, a couple good things, which I think are definite positives. Um, when it comes to the SEC, the SEC is a legal arm, a regulatory arm of the government. They're really there to be police. They're there to enforce laws, not to make laws. And when it comes to crypto, it is a new asset class. Everything is new, everything is brand new, everything needs to be created. So one reason why it seems like they're so slow or they're sitting on their butts um, is because they're not really used to making case law or to make these landmark type decisions. That's usually up to Congress, the government, and the courts. They're really just cops. Um, it's kind of like a new drug being invented, and it's technically not illegal because there's no laws against it, and then expecting your local city council and police force to come up with all the laws and take care of it. It needs to go on a bigger scale. So there are some people in Congress that are taking up the torch as far as writing some laws. Um, One is this feller here, Republican Congressman Warren Davidson. He's a big crypto advocate. He's an avowed Bitcoin and blockchain fan. He plans to introduce federal legislation that will regulate initial coin offerings and cryptocurrencies. Um, it's really, really big because he's talking about ICOs. The bill will create an asset class for tokens, which would prevent them from being classified as securities, but would also allow the federal government to regulate initial coin offerings more effectively. So really, really good news. Now, there are two bills that are going out in Congress right now to focus on market manipulation and improving regulations. Now, once these tools are given to the SEC, then they'll be a lot easier for them to just implement them rather than to come up with them. Um, and the two bills focusing on cryptocurrency market manipulation, they're aimed to position the United States to be a leader in the cryptocurrency industry. Their sponsors claimed on December 6th. Which is one thing that really, it looked like the United States was not going to lead the world when it comes to blockchain and cryptocurrency. They were going to fall behind. This bill is dubbed the Virtual Currency Consumer Protection Act of 2018 and the U.S. Virtual Currency Market and Regulatory Competitiveness Act of 2018. The names are kind of lame, but still really cool that they're moving forward in that. It's a bipartisan effort. Their authors, Congressman Darren Soto and old Ted Budd, they said they wish to provide data on how Congress can best mitigate these risks while propelling development that benefits our economy. So pretty cool on that. So not everyone in the United States government is clueless, but definitely up to you to ask that question of what your congressman or the person running for office thinks about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, especially with taxation and other things. It should definitely be a kind of a standard question. Now, the SEC, I'm sure everyone's heard, has delayed the Bitcoin ETF again, which is set for late February, which is the end of the line. They can't put it out any further than late February. Now, all along, I have said that I think this bear market is going to go to probably end of December, February, or end of January, February. I really think it is going to. I think it's going to go maybe a little bit past that, but I think that'll be the bottoming out period. Is when well, I had thought the bottoming out period would be when the SEC approves the fund, which I do think they're going to approve the ETF. But with a little bit more research, I think there's going to be one more crash after that. I'll go into that a little bit more. There's another story that goes over how they've put the fund off again. And one thing that to the kind of the conspiracy thing is that Vanek and uh, the X, whatever the X, Vanek and the X fund, that they're all in cahoots kind of together. They're building up the market a tiny, tiny bit with some hope, and then they do the delay and it crashes. They bring it up, so it comes up a little and then it goes down a little bit more. It goes up a little and then it goes down a little bit more. So it's constantly going down. They're kind of building it up just to crash it down. And when it crashes down, it goes down a little bit further than it has. That's why we're looking at these terrible numbers. Go back to Coin Paprika. Bitcoin's at 3,466 bucks. But Bitcoin dominance has went up to like it was close to 55% today. It's 54%. So it just keeps going lower and lower and lower. And a lot of people keep saying, "Oh, this is the bottom. Oh, this is the bottom." I don't think it's the bottom at all. I don't know if we're going to get to the $1,500 bottom for Bitcoin. I think it's going to be the low twos. I think maybe if we cross into the 1900s, it'll be very short. That will be like a violent bounce back, and that'll be when everything turns around. But I think it's going to be the low twos to mid twos, and would be after February, end of February or after February. Where were we? So the SEC put it off again. Now, and this makes me sad because when it comes to Crypto Mom or Hester Pierce, which I really like her, she says all really great things, but I don't know if they're all fake and they're all just out to get us and screw everybody over. If they're all part of the Illuminati, I don't know. But I'm kind of jaded to where I've lost a little bit of faith in Hester Pierce. She said it definitely is possible. Could be 20 years from now. Could be tomorrow when it comes to approving the ETF. Don't hold your breath. The SEC took a long time to establish FinHub. It may take even longer to approve an exchange-traded product. So she's backing down, and she was a big proponent of when the Winklevoss twins ETF got turned down. But whenever I've seen her in interviews, she's just very plainly spoken. I don't think there should be an accredited investor. I think that's a class system. I think it's meant to keep poor people poor, rich people rich. I think it's meant to separate people. I think it's meant to take opportunities away from average people and to give them to the elite. I mean, to say is basically, and there's no way around. And she even said this, which no other regulator and really no one in government will admit this, but she said that a litmus test or a test that basically says if you don't have $250,000, you're stupid and you're not smart enough to invest in anything. So the accredited investor in the United States has to have $250,000 to invest in most investments or have to take part in these opportunities. I mean, you can invest in most ICOs in the United States if you're an accredited investor. So if you have $250,000, if you're a cab driver that took an extra shift, every week, so they had an extra $100 a week to put into something, you're too stupid to invest in anything. You don't know what you're doing, because if you did know what you're doing, you'd have at least $250,000. It's a ridiculous litmus test or classification for people. So anyway, Esther Pierce is kind of backing down a little bit on some of the stances and some of the things that she's said before. It looks like, which is sad and disheartening. Now but so they keep. It looks like the market, like I said, is being reset. Institutional investors, Wall Street, banks, even maybe the federal government, they've all missed the boat on cryptocurrencies because they dismissed it. So they're resetting everything to a year, maybe even 2 years ago. And then they're going to scoop stuff up. Does that sound crazy? No, it doesn't, but it sounds even less crazy because they've done it before. There's a precedent for it. Um, and also, if you look at Binance, is being hit with an influx of institutional demand. Now, this is what Binance is being set up with, and I've seen some videos on Binance which are kind of also disheartening. I thought that they were one of the one of the good guys, and it looks like they've been a little shady over the past year or two. But Binance is launching a new feature to help satisfy a sharp raise in demand from institutional investors. The leading crypto exchange is allowing organizations to create multiple trading accounts under one profile, along with improved managerial control and asset audit tools. So it looks like Binance is setting up for a house, like an investment house, to have one profile and then have several trading accounts for like stockbrokers or crypto brokers, so that these crypto brokers, be just like stockbrokers, can buy and sell on Binance for their clients using their money in their account from their clients. And then it's all under one profile. So it looks like things are being set up kind of the way that other markets have been set up. Um, it looks like, the prices are being driven down and it's being taken over, which is the one thing that nobody really wanted. Now, how was this done before? You got to look at Vanek. Now, why is Vanek and this? If you go look at the site, which I'd watched, Keith Warning, he went over their site, and it looks like the most generic site you've ever seen. There's nothing there. There's nothing that really goes into the company. It does look like a shell. It looks a little scammy, but let's focus on Vanek. Um, and also celebrating 50 years of gold investing. 50 years, 1968. Remember that date. So, in the United States, the government, um, they made it illegal for Americans to own gold. Um, in the 1930s, and then they confiscated everyone's gold. People don't really talk about that. They don't really go over that in school. Um, but that's a very big thing. I mean, the United States government took everyone's base asset, the most base, most world recognized asset in the history of humanity is precious metals, gold. And the United States government said it's illegal to own it, and they said we're going to take it all. So they took it all. But it was illegal to own gold in the United States until like 1970 something, like 1972, 1974. Um, so not that long ago. If you're like 40, it's 40 something. It was could have been illegal when you were a kid to own gold. Um, Now this guy, old Grandpa Vanek, he came up in 1968 and he started the first gold ETF or gold investment fund, the INIVX. Um, and everyone thought he was crazy. He's like, why would you want to invest in gold? It's a it's like a stable currency. That's how it was looked at back then. There was what's called the gold standard, um, and gold was set at kind of a solid price. It was around $35. That's it. You're not going to make much money. It's like a tether. You could make like a little tiny bit here and there, but it's going to be a dollar, 99 cents, a dollar one, a dollar. It's supposed to be. And don't give me crap about Tether, whatever stable coin you want to go with. Um, but it was like a stable currency. It was the gold standard was set at like $35. So he still started this in 1968. Then lo and behold, Americans are then laws passed. Government, United States has taken off the gold standard. We're put on a fiat currency. The world has taken off the gold standard. Screw you. And Americans can now own and sell gold. Who had been getting all the gold and hoarding all the gold since the 1930s? It was the United States government. Um, And now all of a sudden gold is a huge investment. It skyrockets in price, and the government had a bunch of gold. Okay, and I'm sure that they were in cahoots in some way with Vanek. It just seems like it's all laid out there. Vanek, of course, makes bazillions of dollars because he was the first one to start any kind of gold investment equity fund. Um, it looked crazy, but if you're, one of the power elites and you make backdoor deals, that definitely could definitely work in your favor, and now you're a bazillionaire. So that's what it looked like happened, and that's what it looks like is happening again. Vanek, 50 years later, is looking at cryptocurrency and going to do the same thing. Start the ETF, but not at $20,000, not at $19,000, not at $15,000. Get the price back to where it was, maybe even 1,800 bucks, maybe $1,000, whatever, as low as it can go. Um, because the government cannot, they can't confiscate your cryptocurrency. And they did this, but we can even go back a little further. They did the same thing, not as blatant and not as offensive as what they did with gold, as far as confiscating it from the United States citizens and and doing that terrible thing. But when it came to the .com bubble, Warren Buffett, a lot of people say, I don't understand this. It frightens me. I like candy and trains. I'm not going to put into it. And uh, a lot of institutional money missed the .com boom. A lot of regular investors got in and made tons and tons of money. Then what happened? Just tons of FUD gets pumped out. Why are you buying into Dell? Why are you buying this internet thing? It's a bubble. It's going to pop. It's no good. Massive FUD gets pumped out. Everything does crash. And then everything goes down. Amazon's worth, $9 or whatever after being worth, a ridiculous amount. And then it all gets scooped up. It all gets scooped up by Wall Street. And everyone, they now see um, that there's value in it, that there is value in the internet, that there's value in these companies, that Amazon has a value. But like Bitcoin, it came out and people saw that it had a value. But most institutions did not see that it had a value and ignored it. And once it proved that it had a value, then they beat it down to where it's, back to where it was cheap and easy, and then they pick it all up. Um, so it looks like that's happening again. Um, the SEC is building it up, take it down, build it up, take it down. Um, if you look at the Elliott wave theory, it looks like we're in like the third dip. So I think that the ETF is going to be approved. It's going to go up. We're going to oh, this is it. We're finally moving up. Then it's going to crash again. It's going to manipulatedly crash because all the institutional money is not going to come in. It is not going to come in, and then everyone else is going to put in their money. All the last believers, they're going to put their money into back into the market because they think that this is it. This is it. We're hitting the bull run, and then it's not going to happen, and we're going to crash again. That last crash, that's going to be the last point. Then it's going to start. That's when institutional money is going to come in. That's when they're going to buy it up. That'll be the bottom. That's my opinion. That's what I think. Now, if you we go back to Coin Paprika, Ethereum under $100. Months ago, this was 1,200 bucks. Okay, and no one thought it was going to go below 100. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to go that low. But I thought maybe this would go under 30. I don't think it's going to go below 25 or below 20, but I don't know. But it's surprising that Ethereum is under $100. And it had a huge dip in the past few days. Now, you want to capitalize on crypto market declines? the first of its kind inverse ETH strategy by Black Moon. Black Moon is the mutual fund with by Pompliano. He owns it. And basically, how this works is when ETH goes down, you make money, and it's not like shorting. It works a little differently. You can actually buy it and hold it. Um, it's like an actual asset, and then when ETH goes up, you lose money. So you're going to vertically flip the total market capitalization in 2018. Um, Now, what if we say something that's similar? We could turn back the clock, basically like in fairy tales. Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to present, coming from Black Moon Research Labs, the inverse ETH strategy. The inverse ETH strategy, the strategy that seeks to generate returns opposite of the performance of Ethereum. It provides investors with positive return when ETH goes down and negative returns when ETH goes up. So, ETH had one of his biggest drops in a long time. I mean, in a long time, right? Just boom. It was a. I mean, some of these are like they're all bad, but just right here, boom, right when this is coming out. So just a little odd. Um, like I said, it's down 16% this week, almost 17% this week, more than Bitcoin, more than XRP. Stellar's down 23. I mean, of course, Bitcoin Cash. These just keep swapping back and forth. It's ridiculous. Next, we've got Tezos is moving close. They're probably going to institute the Zcash Snarks protocol or zero knowledge proofs, which is a Zcash technology, which will give them shielded transactions so that people won't know anything about the transactions. Zcash Snarks, it's kind of it's a way to you can verify the transaction without giving out any information about the transaction. Let me see if I think it says that somewhere here. The goal of shielding a transaction is to provide verifiable proof that the transaction took place without divulging any information about the transaction, such as the associated accounts, balances, or the amount of the transaction. So it's pretty cool. And they are moving towards implementing that. Next, go over something which I went over last. I think it was last week, the week before. It's gaming in crypto. There's a lot of apps out. Like if you try Air Coins, I use. It's kind of like Pokemon Go, but you find actual crypto. It's kind of cool. It's kind of smart. Instead of most companies or ICOs or coins doing like airdrops, they give them to I think to Air Coins, and then they just put them out like Pokemon. You go find them and it puts them in your wallet. You get crypto. There's a Vishan Studios has this color shifter. It's a brain game where you use colors to camouflage oncoming obstacles and hide them. You reach for the highest possible score and compete with your friends. So you get rewards. The higher score you get, the higher rewards you get. You can use and redeem cryptocurrencies against in-game rewards. You can use Bitcoin, Ethereum, other the big ones. You can also use ACT, and you can use Hellas or HUT tokens, which I'm on the Hellas team, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to go over this. But you get a 20% bonus when you use HUT tokens. I think probably ACTs. Which this is the link to Google Play, so you can get you can download the game. They're having a competition this month and next month, which is why I wanted to go over it. It starts on December 20th, and it goes to January 20th. And it's not chump change. They're actually giving away a lot. You can redeem your prizes for this. Also, just take your money out in crypto or in Amazon gift cards. So the first week, the first place is 3,000 USD, and second place is 1,500. And then a bi-weekly It's the same prize amount, 3,000 for first place, 1,500 for second place. And then for the month overall is going to be a $5,000 prize. So pretty cool. Check it out, Color Shifter. It's in the Google Play Store. I'll leave a link to their Twitter, and you can check them out in the description. And then last, we will go over MenaPay. Also on the team for MenaPay, I'm a low-level guy on the team, but um, I'm still on the team. It's a huge team. It's really, really, really good team. It's one of the best teams in crypto, but it's one of the biggest teams too. They had they're sticking to their blockchain or to their roadmap, and they had a big test in November where they tested the payment gateway, and they actually was very, very successful. Which I mean, we all thought it was going to be successful, but wow, um, their speeds were twice as fast, just about twice as fast as Visa and Mastercard. Um, the MenaPay developers team has recorded a major success in payment completion times, one of the milestone measurements used to judge a payment system performance, per a press release shared with Blockchain Reporter. It's MenaPay is two different coins. They have a token, and then they have their own blockchain coin, which is a stable coin called MenaCash, which will be used for transactions to be implemented. It's going to be in the MENA region, which is the Middle East and North Africa. So this was a really big test to put it through its paces, and it performed really well. So hopefully we're coming closer to mass adoption. I really think MenaPay is going to do well when it comes to mass adoption, and really put the MENA region to the forefront, and hopefully that will, I think, spill over and start mass adoption through Asia and then to the West. Well, I do go over a lot. It was a pretty rough week, so I wanted to kind of cover as much as I could. I appreciate any comments you can leave down in the comments below. Please hit that like button. I will get back to you if you have any questions or anything. Go ahead and ask me there, and I'll get back with you. You guys take care. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Kick it!